Welcome back to Man vs. Meeple, the show where we talk about all things board game related. Today we're going to use the name as a moniker for the show. This is going to be a versus show, and we're going to be talking about two games that came out last week in retail. We're talking about Unlock from Space Cowboys and The Exit from Kosmos.
Right.
Two escape room style games that were released on the exact same week.
Exactly, and they both have 3 games. I mean, there's been some other escape room games that have come out, but nothing as robust as this. Both these companies definitely took the plunge.
So we're going to talk in kind of a review format as we go along, but we really want to kind of compare the two games to give you guys an idea of which of these two titles you may be more interested in and what kind of style they present as an escape room experience.
And plus, we will do our absolute best to avoid any and all spoilers because we've played these, and that's obviously all of the fun that these things have is the exploration and the discovery. So we will stay away from that other than what you see here on the table, which is largely what you can see on the back of the boxes.
Yeah.
We will stay away from details.
So let me give you a brief buffer about the games and what they're about. So they're both escape room experiences. Both games are 1 to 6 players. One of the Unlocks presents itself as a 2-player experience. Unlock plays more in 60 minutes, where Exit can be played in any length of time. We'll get into that scoring system and how that works a little bit later. Unlock uses an app, which is a little bit different than Exit. Exit uses just a basic card system and a decoder wheel and a booklet to do everything within the game.
Yeah, Exit has a bit of almost kind of a nostalgic approach. It has this like sort of little decoder wheel. Every version of it comes with a decoder wheel. And they largely do the same things. They just do them in slightly different ways, whereas Unlock has one deck of cards that has all of the different things that you'll see. Exit breaks it out. They have a riddle deck, they have an answer deck, and then the help or the hints that you'd get come in a separate deck, which is where the app comes in with Unlock.
That's right. Now, I've played Unlock, all 3 of the Unlock versions, and we've both only played one of the Exits so far. I will say this, Unlock to me feels like a more approachable game. It's a game that can be played in a complete family structure from anywhere from probably ages 8 up to whatever age possible. Exit feels like more of a true escape room experience. It's a little bit harder. It's a little bit more challenging with the puzzles that are included in the game.
Yeah, both of them are pretty approachable, but I'd agree. Unlock is the more sort of readily approachable. Obviously, the big thing is that it's just a deck of cards, so that right off the bat seems more approachable. All you need to know is what you're flipping over. Exit has a few more components, obviously. You have to read the rules for both of these games for sure, because both of them have mechanics involved that you need to be aware of before you play, so that the puzzles that you're solving are the puzzles in the game and not the general puzzle of how am I supposed to play the game, because there are some things that you definitely need to look for on these cards.
Yeah, there's a true visual element, too, to Unlock that I don't think Exit quite has. I think that's just because Space Cowboys invests a lot of money into their art, and that conveys into the actual game itself. You have some really good artwork, which kind of brings players into the experience a little bit more. Exit feels a little more abstract in the way that it presents its puzzles.
Yeah, I would agree.
Than Unlock does.
The artwork in particular, because Exit has some great artwork too, but it's all largely in the book. There's a little booklet that comes in Exit that you use as sort of the visual component for sure.
Yeah.
The cards themselves don't have as much in the way of artwork or different artwork as Unlock does. Unlock, when you're discovering things for the first time, you're flipping over a new card and there's going to be a new piece of art, representing something, which is gives that more accessible to more people, and it's more sort of exciting from an exploration standpoint.
Let's talk about the challenge of both games. And specifically the clue system and how they help you. So Unlock presents all of the clues as an app function. Exit handles it a little bit differently with help cards. There's 3 degrees of help cards, with 1 being the easiest and, of course, the solution being the 3rd possible help card.
Right.
What I found in the game is that Unlock seems to get more into the thought process of what someone in an escape room would think like. The clues are a little better, a little more structured.
I would agree.
Whereas finding in an Exit, the first 2 clues always typically to be the most obvious thing that you could possibly think of, like go to a specific room. Well, we're already in that room. We already know what to do. The solution seems to be the only real clue system in there for Exit.
When we played, it was 4 adults playing. So by the time we were looking for a clue in Exit, we'd already figured out clues 1 and 2 without looking at them.
Yeah.
Oftentimes. So, yeah, you did really just go straight through the clues to the solution clue, which then, of course, isn't really a clue at all.
On the flip side, Unlock never gives you the answers, which is great.
Right.
It just points you in the right direction. And most of the times I found in the game that when we needed direction, Unlock was able to point us to, oh, we obviously missed that portion of the card, or we obviously missed these 2 puzzle pieces fitting together.
Right. The way Unlock handles, I mean, both, to step away from the clues for a second, the way both games handle mathematically piecing together the trail, if you will, as you're going through is a little bit different. Like we said earlier, the decoder wheel is what Exit uses. And one advantage to this is that it keeps people from rifling through the deck to see, not the fronts of the cards, obviously, but even the backs of the cards can kind of start to give some things away, which is what Unlock does a little bit, because you're constantly going through the deck, looking at the backs of these cards, at these numbers, and with the way they use math to connect cards, you can start to kind of game the game a little bit if you're not careful.
It almost feels like you could use a third person or an extra person in the mix who's just hiding the cards from the group and then deals them out and says, nope, there's no 88.
Yeah, exactly. I actually took one of the games, not the tutorial, but there's like a demo called the Elite for Unlock, which you and I played.
Yeah.
I took that and let my sons play it, and I was that third person. And that does help a lot because you're able to give a little bit of that information in terms of, handing out the cards when they need to without looking at the cards or without them looking at the cards.
Now, having said that, getting away from the clue system and back into the actual solving the puzzles, I found the experience of Exit to be more challenging and more rewarding for me. Like, the puzzles are really hard, and once you got what they were trying to do, Unlock kind of feeds you through the whole experience.
Yep. It's definitely
Exit
a little more
really, really difficult. The game that we played, the experience was really difficult.
Yeah, the experience was difficult. I would say I felt like we had more challenge with figuring out how the game is played more than we did the actual clues, because now that we've played an Exit, I feel like we wouldn't have near as much trouble playing another one because we know kind of a little bit more how the system works firsthand.
Yeah.
Same thing with Unlock. There are some cards in Unlock that, you'll flip over a room that has a bunch of numbers on it, and that means that you flip over those next cards. Then there's some cards that you flip over that might have some hidden information or hidden number on it. That is a little harder to understand. Unless you read the rules, which I didn't really read the rules because I wanted to sort of protect myself as much as possible, but you do need to know how the game works.
Yeah, I feel like Unlock 2 has one particular issue, and it's not huge, but there is an issue where you are doing a lot of addition between 2 cards. Puzzle pieces in the game fit together, we're using a red card and a blue card specifically. But some of these red cards may have a range of things that you have to add up.
Yeah.
So when you add these up and you get the wrong answer, you could flip over, again, then we go to the number 88, which could be the wrong answer, but it's actually a clue for a different puzzle.
Yeah, now
that's happened to us before as well.
I didn't run into that when I played through the full game of Unlock, because I do think what I did notice is they've purposely put some wrong answers for some of those cards in there that just says, nope, you added them wrong.
Yeah.
So they've jumped ahead and tried to guess where you might go wrong.
Yeah.
But like you said, there are some situations where you might use the wrong logic and add up numbers in the wrong way, and then flip over a card that has nothing to do with the puzzle you're solving, but something else. So it kind of could potentially break the game a little bit there.
So one of the deal breakers for people that I've read online is that both of these experiences are one-time plays. Both of the games handle it a little bit differently. Unlock, there's no destruction in the game. You basically would reshuffle the entire game when you're done, hand it off to another group of people that want to play it. But once you've played through the game, there's no variance in it. It's the same set of puzzles. You're just trying to get off an island or trying to discover a lab or whatever it may be.
You really couldn't play it again. I mean, some people would say you could play and try to better your score, but that's really not going to be that exciting an experience. Yeah,
by the end of the game, you're playing through a 60-minute experience. If you don't hit the 60 minutes, you can restart the game from fresh. Exit is also a 60 to 90-minute experience, but it can last longer than that. And you're getting points deduced off for every clue card that you're used. However, Exit is a destructible game, so it's not a game that you would pass off. Now, you can probably get around that by making a copy of the manual, but there's portions in there when we were cutting up cards, when we were cutting up the manual, when we were drawing on the manual, when we were drawing on the cards. And I have to say, if you go to an escape room, you're going to be spending $25 to $30 per person. This is a $10 to $15 experience at a store.
Yeah,
for 6 players.
Exactly. And obviously it's not the same experience as going and being there, but I have to say
a good job.
it does a great job of recreating that experience. The same satisfaction you get in solving the exact same sorts of puzzles that you would find in an escape room are definitely in both of these games.
Yeah.
Super satisfying for anyone who likes to solve riddles and feel clever, about themselves.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, if you guys can embrace the idea of destroying the game for $12 to $15, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, yeah.
And both of them do provide a really, really rich experience with an escape room, and it was a fun experience. I personally, let's go ahead and get into our verdict.
Yeah.
I personally think both of these games are options for players.
Absolutely.
I mean, for $60 to $80, I would buy every single one of these. I played through all 3 of these, and I have to say that the experience in each of them is very different. There's some very clever clues in here, and there's some very clever answers in trying to piece things together, especially the end game on one of them. I won't spoil anything. Exit is a much different experience to unlock. It's harder, it's challenging. It rewards gamers, I think. Like real enthusiast gamers will enjoy a game like this because it requires some really challenging out-of-the-box thinking.
Yeah, I would say that, and that's not to say that I don't think Unlock has some challenging puzzles as well. I mean, there are some things that had us scratching our head in Unlock as well. Exit, I would agree. I would give that the slightly higher difficulty in terms of the puzzles and getting through it. I really like the streamlined aspect of Unlock. I like the fact that it's a deck of cards. I like the visuals on the cards. Even though the app doesn't do much more than be a timer and a clue giver, I do like the fact that you're putting codes in the app.
That's neat.
One thing about Exit is that, and we only played one Exit, so to be fair, that's our experience. I felt like a lot of the puzzles kind of kept coming back to the same core mechanism in the book, so that we were, because you have to use this wheel for almost every puzzle, so they kind of have to lead every puzzle back to sort of, on this one, these colored vials of chemicals and
that
whatnot.
one, for sure, but also it opens up the design space for me. When you have just a deck of cards, you're limited by the card structure. You have cards in this, you have a decoder wheel, and then you have a booklet.
Yep.
And the booklet had a huge range of puzzles in there.
Yeah.
There's color coding, there's numbers, there's letters, there's putting stuff, cutting it out and putting it into specific locations. Like, it's a really unique tactile experience.
Well, the tactile aspect this has, similar to a real escape room that Unlock doesn't. One other thing I'd say about both of these, but I'd probably give the nod to Unlock, is the couples experience. I think a great couples game. You and your wife played all three of the Unlocks.
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the perfect couples experiences out there.
Absolutely.
Because you can sit there and attack it together, and then on the flip side of that, the upper range of these player counts, is it 6 on both?
Yeah.
I think maybe a little high, just from the sheer practicality of people playing.
There's not enough puzzles.
We tried with 5.
Yeah.
There's not enough space.
Not enough space or not
you can't
enough
sit
puzzles.
around a
Yeah.
table and play it. People
Yeah.
will have to stand up.
Yeah.
When I played it with another group, I stood up behind 3 people just so that we could kind of all see the cards at the same time. Otherwise, there's people taking cards and looking at them, and then you get people sort of feeling left out and a little out of the experience.
Yeah. So, guys, that is Unlock and Exit. Hopefully, you guys like this type of programming. We wanted to take a look at both of the games together.
It made a lot of sense for these.
Yeah, we absolutely suggest both lines of games. They're fantastic escape room experiences. If you guys have any questions or comments, please make them in the comment section below. Subscribe to us, of course. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and everything else that we do here at Man vs. Meeple. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.